her 6-year-old granddaughter. Today, he is in prison for that crime. Darlene Ellison learned her ex-husband was a member of an international pedophilia organization while they were married. Now, Darlene, your husband was a dentist, and he used his career as excuses for these supposed business trips. When did you find out that they weren't that?
Long after his arrest, and actually closer to the sentencing, the time of sentencing, when I had an opportunity actually to speak to the FBI agent he's retired now, but who had been the undercover agent with NAMBLA. And I asked him that question point blank. I mean, I wanted to know how long he'd been doing this. And it's in hindsight, it's, you know, that must have been 18 months after the arrest. And in hindsight, you start thinking about, oh, that dental convention here, or when he went to New York, and then it all made sense.
Now, Darlene, you know, NAMBLA, it's an acronym for National Association of what, Man-Boy Love or something?
Yes, it's North American Man-Boy Love.
Okay, I heard about this like on South Park, basically, and people out there question the veracity of the organization. But you're here to tell us that not only does it exist, but your husband was a card-carrying member.
I'm here to tell you that not only did it exist, but there were hundreds and hundreds of members. And I use the word hundreds because I don't know anything factually beyond that. I do know that the FBI spent 18 months undercover in this organization, and there are transcripts from discussions with my ex-husband being one of those in the inner circle and discussing what they enjoyed, which was
I don't want to hear anymore. Ugh. Sherlyn,
I know.
You know, when you first heard about this, was your instinct to support your husband, very much like Dottie Sandusky?
No. To answer the question, no, it was not. But it did run across my mind what would happen, because I had been with him for 16 years or better. So when you're with someone that long, you know, of course it runs through your mind what'll happen if I divorce him, what'll happen if I leave him. But my first thought was towards my granddaughter. My first thought was towards her safety and keeping her safe. And if I did stay with him, would it happen again? If I did stay with him, would he continue molesting her? So no, it was never something that I considered. It was just, like you said, a thought.
And Sherlyn, it must have been stunning to you, having been with a man for 16 years, this behavior coming to light. And my understanding is also that you discovered that there was a backstory as well. But after 16 years, you didn't have the slightest hint that there was something up with this guy?
Yes, I did. I think, to be honest with you, that there were things that I overlooked over the years. There were inappropriateness that I did not pay attention to. And when I say that, I mean, when I first met him, my ex-husband was a handsome man. He was a good-looking man. And so me, as a young woman, thinking that, oh, you know, I don't want to say anything to run him off or anything like that. But there was just, you know, several things that were inappropriate that I had no idea years later it would turn into him molesting my granddaughter.
Darlene, that must be very Yeah, I did say like what. I'll be happy to listen. Like what, Sherlyn?
I'll give you an example. One time I can remember we were at home and he was just laying on the couch, but he didn't have much clothes on. My daughter and I, when I met him, my daughter was 11. We were on the floor looking at television. He was behind us on the couch, and I had to say something to him to, you know, cover himself up, to put some clothes on. You know, to me it was kind of strange for me to have to say something to a grown man.
Boundaries, right. Inappropriate boundaries around a young kid, which is what Darlene, Darlene, this is what we know for sure Mr. Sandusky was up to, is inappropriate boundaries. I imagine stories like Sherlyn are very common from women that are involved with these men. Is that true?
Oh, you know, absolutely. And I think that the one thing we have to remember is that you can't put all the pedophiles into a basket and say they all look the same, act the same, do the same. There's such a long continuum. But and some are better at building the boundaries, creating facades so that they are not caught. Some are perfectionists in terms of making sure that no one suspects anything. And so, like in my case, I go back in hindsight and see the over perfectionism in certain situations where, you know, maybe I should have said, wow, why is he being so super vigilant about that? So I think we can't put them all in one basket.
I get it. Now, Dottie Sandusky did release a statement late last week supporting her husband's claim of innocence. It reads, in part, "We don't know why these young men may have made these false accusations, but we want everyone to know they are untrue. I continue to believe in Jerry's innocence and all the good things he has done." And we got to remember that we just heard a few minutes ago in the tape piece that rolled into this segment that also Dottie Sandusky was worrying him that people would misinterpret the way he was behaving. Even she, again, was looking askance at some of the things he was doing in terms of his closeness with these young men. Darlene, you're shaking your head. You agree?
I do agree. I think, you know, if you asked me to throw in my 2 cents, I'd say that Dottie Sandusky is in a lot of denial right now. This is everything she's ever known could be lost. Again, I still, even with the statement, you know, I read this statement, and even with that statement, my first thoughts were, well, of course, the defense attorney needs her sitting there in that courtroom supporting her husband. How would it look if she didn't?
Right.